Today I'm going to share with you two key components of Forex trading that will make you instantly more profitable. And this is what I'm talking about. So the first key is you need a point of interest. This is going to be key number one. When you trade, you should always be trading at points of interest. And the number two key that will help you be instantly more profitable is to have a purpose. What do I mean by this? When you take a trade, you have to have a purpose for a trade to go a certain direction. You can't just take a buy because you think it's going to go up. There actually has to be a purpose or a need for price to go in your direction. Without a point of interest and without purpose, your trades will most likely fail most of the time. And what we're looking to do always is take the most optimal trades and to always remove our losses. So having a point of interest and having purpose will make you more profitable. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean right now. So anytime you trade, whatever strategy you're using, you must have these two components. It will help you a lot. So we're going to get rid of these for now, and we're going to show you some trades that didn't work that use my strategy. So for example, we're going to use replay mode here for a second. So a lot of you know that I don't only use a break of structure, but I like to use a trend line just to show a direction. So we had a nice little downtrend going on here, and the way I trade is I wait for a break of a lower high before I take a buy. So as you can see, we had a nice little break of this lower high, and I wait for price to pull back into some liquidity before I take a buy. So for example, you could take a buy right here, have your nice little stop loss set, and why not just throw it up here and have a nice little 1-to-4 risk to reward ratio. And what do you know, straight into our stop loss. So a lot of you guys are suffering with this problem, and I want to show you exactly how to change this. So what went wrong in this trade here? What's actually happening here is there was no purpose, there was no point of interest. Okay, so if we go out to the bigger time frames, because you always want to look over at the bigger time frames, see what's going on here. Are we at a point of interest? Okay, so you know, this may have been a nice little area for supply here. So maybe we were at a point of interest. I mean, we were quite a little bit away from it. But what else is wrong here? The biggest thing in this trade that we were missing, right? We had the setup, we had a nice little setup, which was good, but we're missing that purpose. Okay? There is no reason for price to continue higher. You know, all our price action was filled. There was no imbalances. The market is balanced. There was no reason for it to go higher. So if we look on the 1 hour here, obviously we had this huge imbalance going on here. Price came up, filled this imbalance. Okay, so there is no reason for price to come up even higher. Once again, we had a nice little imbalance here. Price came up and filled that. And we had a imbalance going on here. Price came up and filled that imbalance as well. So we literally bought at the very top of this imbalance. Price already came up, already filled it, got liquidity. So there's no reason for it to continue higher. If anything, if we look to the higher time frames, we see that now there is this gap going on here, right? There's no price action going on here. So we could fill that, right? And maybe when price eventually comes down and fills up a little bit of this, then we could have a reason for price to come back up, right? So if we do play this out, as you can see, price comes down here, and now we have this major imbalance going on here. So now there is purpose, right? There is purpose for price to come back up. As you can see, price comes back up. So you want to be taking trades that have purpose and that have a point of interest, right? So as we can see here, we are at a nice little point of interest. We are at this supply zone. Okay, now we need purpose. So we go to the 15 minute. We know that there is a purpose for price to come back up here and fill this imbalance like I already pointed out on the 4 hour. As we can see, there is now this gap right here, right? There's this missing price action on the 4 hour. So if we go to the lower time frames, that's when we can start to look for our trade, right? So now as we can see, if we even went to a lower time frame like the 3 minute, we could wait for something like a break and retest, or we could wait for something like, you know, how I like to trade, which I trade off these lower highs, right? Because we're in a downtrend. How do we break into an uptrend? We look for price to break the last lower high. Okay, so we're just gonna wait here, let price play out, and we want to see a nice little break. Okay, now we have a nice proper break. Cool. We know there's a lot of demand going on here. We have this little small order block. So now we can take our trades with our targets into our areas of purpose, right? There is a purpose for price to come back up and fill in this area. So now this is where we would take our trade, right? And as you can see, price runs straight up into our take profit. So you gotta have purpose, you gotta have a nice area where price will like to come down to and reverse up to, right? So that is one of the biggest keys to successfully trading and becoming more profitable, right? And we'll show you some more examples. Okay, so we're back here on the 1 hour, just looking from where we are right now. What do we know? What do we know as a trader? Okay, well, we know we just made this impulsive move here. We know now there's some missing price action in this zone here. Why is there missing price action? Well, because we have price action going on in here, right? You have this little back and forth going on. But in this entire section here, we have nothing going on. It's just a straight impulse up. So we know that as a market, the markets always like to balance itself out, right? So if you have a really strong push up, whatever comes up must come down kind of thing, right? Whatever goes down must come up. So there's always a balance going on, right? So what can we do about this? Well, we're on the 1 hour. We want to see like where's price, what time frame is price trending in? Okay, we go to 3 hour. This, we see some nice trend going on, right? If we were to just trade off the 1 hour, this isn't a trend, this is just an impulse. So we want to go to the time frame where we see a trend actually forming. Because what are we trying to do? We're trying to wait for a reversal of a trend to trade back into our area of purpose. So we have this uptrend going on, right? And we can clearly see prices trending on the 3 minute. So we're going to stick on the 3 minute just to look for some nice price action. Okay, cool. We've created this low here, but this is not a valid low yet because we want to see a nice green pulse on this time frame. So this is all one low being made. So we're going to still wait till we see some green pulse. Okay, cool. This is now our official low here. Cool. So now we want to see price break that. And we want to see a proper break. We don't just want to see it bouncing around. We want to see a nice break through, right? Okay, here we had a nice break. Now what do we look for? Well, we look for some liquidity. We got these wicks going on here. We have a nice little order block here. Okay, cool. So we're going to wait for price to move up a little bit more, or we might just end up taking a trade off this order block, which I am comfortable doing so, and I will have a nice little stop loss above where I think it could come to. We could even say that price could come back up to this wick here, so we could set it a little bit higher, 20 pips, right? And now we have our take profit. Where do we set it? Well, we set it into our zone of purpose, which we marked out here. Cool. Now, where do we see the most imbalance? Well, I see a lot of imbalance specifically here because not a lot of price action here. Price was trending here. It was more of an impulse. Okay, so I'm going to go for a nice little sell for something like that for a nice little 2.6 risk to reward ratio. So if we let this play out, price comes down straight down into our take profit. And as you can see, price reacted nicely off our liquidity zone here. So if we took our trade even higher up in our liquidity zone, we could have a much higher risk to reward. But I want to show you guys just a nice safe example. So we had a nice 2.6 risk to reward. As you can see, when you guys have purpose for a direction and you have a nice little point of interest, trades work out better because a lot of you will take a sell when there's no reason for price to go down into a sell. It's going to take some time before you get to know where trend will want to trend to. Basically, what we're looking for is just knowing that price wants to balance itself out. And if you see a big impulse, you know that price should come back and fill in that impulse area. If you guys want to use the same broker as me, sign up with Hango Trade. They offer up to 500 leverage and spreads as low as 0 pips. You can also open an account with as little as $10, which I find really neat. I personally trade with them. They're great. If you want to use them, the link will be down in the description below. Okay, so we jump back to the 1 hour here, and now we have to ask ourselves, right? I'm just going to remove all this. We've came down, we filled in this imbalance that I was talking about here. Where is our next area where we think price would want to fill? Okay, well, here we have some missing price action, right? Like price came up here, but it didn't really fill in this zone. So this could be our next area of purpose, right? Okay, so, and now we've came down to our point of interest, right? Like we filled in this imbalance. This is now, you know, a nice little resistance going on here. This is our point of interest. We can even mark it if we want. We can put POI, point of interest. Now we're at a point of interest and our purpose is up here. Cool, so now we kind of have an idea. Okay, we're at our point of interest. Our purpose is up here. How do we trade back up to this area? Well, we're going to jump to whatever time frame that we can actually see price trending in. And to me, it looks like price is trending mostly on the 3-minute. So we're going to stick to the 3-minute and we're going to see if we can capture a nice little trade here. So this is our most recent high. Cool, we had this little 3-dot impulse. I will count that as a new low. So pretty much we are waiting for price to nicely break this area, which we do have here. We have a nice little break now. And now we are going to look for area of liquidity, right? We have all these candles going on here. And to me, this looks like a solid area to enter the trade. Target up here, right? Because this is our area of purpose. Let's say we can target a nice little area like that. Cool. Now what do we want? Let's make our stop loss a little bit below here just in case, because there is a lot of liquidity in here. Price could pull back even further. And we'll go for a nice little 5 risk to reward ratio. Okay, well, price ran straight up into our profit, but we never were actually able to get in the trade, and that is okay. That will happen. But as you guys can see, price gravitated towards that area because that is our area of purpose. And once again, we've actually come up to an area, now another area of purpose, and now we have this imbalance going on in this area. Okay, so we could even drop to a lower time frame, like the minute, and maybe we can trade this back into here. So as you guys can see, this just happens over and over and over, and we will see if price wants to trend lower again. I'm just gonna clear this all up to make it easy for you guys. Basically, this is a nice little imbalance down here. Price is trending on the 1 minute. We had a nice little break here, so we could possibly see. Guess that wasn't really a break there. That was probably our low. So we probably would have lost the trade if we took that trade. That is okay. We are going to look for the next trade, and we want to see a low break there. We'll jump back to the 3-minute because I think price should be trending a little bit more on the 3-minute now, which is good, and which we see here. Okay, so that is our low that we want to see price break, and that would be a news event right there. But as you guys can see, even during news, price seems to gravitate towards that area, right? Even with the extreme volatility, price comes back down to that area, which is really interesting. But anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.